So the next session will be about one of the first, focusing on local ecosystems. And it's great to talk about what is happening in Russia and the region, because obviously the relationship between between the European countries and Russia is one of the most exciting one, and there's a lot of opportunities in that field. So I invite you to stay here, ask your questions through our mobile app with the Interact section. And without more time, I'd like to welcome on stage the moderator of this great session, Alexander Galitsky, managing partner at Almaz Capital. Please welcome him on stage.
Yeah, good morning. So we are speaking about
Hi, everyone.
For everyone. We are speaking about not so popular right now Russian region, possibly. So, but anyway, we will discuss this topic, how we are doing and what is going on. So I would like you guys to introduce yourself quickly. Who are you?
My name is Kseniya. I work for Yandex. It's Russian search engine. I do some startup programs, startup activities there, and also participate in our internal startups that are eager to reach international market.
Yeah, my name is Alexander Lazarev. I'm manager partner at Maxfield Capital Fund. We are doing global investment, Israel, US, Russia, Europe, so I'm pretty much flexible in this sense. Started a year ago with 100 million under management.
Yeah, our panel sounds like going east. So what you guys will tell about current situation in ecosystem, I mean investment ecosystem in Russia, from your perspective, and in comparison to Eastern Europeans, since I know that many of you doing some stuff in Eastern Europe as well.
So let's divide by stages. Actually, I would start because a couple years ago, Yandex have launched its acceleration program, and actually by that moment, it was the very first real acceleration program that took only 2 months, was limited in time, was built to help very young companies to grow and to break through the very first stage of building the product. And since that time, what's interesting, many other acceleration programs have been launched in Russia, which was not so easy to do, and it was for 3 or 4 years, there were numerous efforts to do that. Finally, people looks like understood how it should work. Big governmental initiative called Free appeared on the market.
It was last year here, as I remember.
It was last year. So I think now, comparing 2, 3, 4 years back in Russia, there are many new companies born every month, and some of them are really interesting. For example, some of our companies getting invitations to Seed Camp, to other acceleration programs around Europe and the US. So I think this is positively changing the market generally.
How many companies you acquired?
Actually, our target is not to acquire them. Our target is to create the ecosystem. And that's absolutely honest answer. We have financed 6 or 7 of them. 5 of them stayed in our co-working, which is a form of finance. They don't need to rent a space. And they're pretty cool guys, and we like to see how they're moving.
And your biggest activity right now in Russia, Eastern Europe, or Israel, or Turkey, where you are right now?
What's the
no,
question?
Your biggest activity. So, I mean the investment activity or community activity or development of ecosystem?
We finally divided these 2 parts. This ecosystem activity, which is needed in Russia more than anywhere else. And the investment activity and acquisition activity that's spread around Europe and in Israel. Actually, less than a year ago, we have acquired Kitlocate. It's Israeli startup backed before us by Microsoft and so on. So we are moving on there, but we totally separated this ecosystem and investment story.
Okay, Alexander, from your perspective, what you will say?
Well, from my perspective, we had a real boom in Russia in terms of ecosystem development on really early stage. I agree with Kseniya, and we have a lot of money on the seed stage, from government-related support. I mean, the government role is really significant on early stage, and this looks like a very good, very optimistic for startups. And when we are coming to more later stage, here's the problem. I mean, a couple of years ago, due to kind of very significant market growth, we expected a lot of investments from the West, together with local partners. And of course, currently, we are expecting a little bit of delay in this sense. So Series B, Series C, late stages are going to experience a significant delay in terms of further financial rounds. So we expect an outflow of Russian companies on these stages to Europe. Relocation maybe their headquarters to Europe to be able to do the fundraising there. And another problem is still we don't have kind of strategic, I mean, the number of strategic players which can help with exit is very low in Russia. I mean, Yandex is a very good example. They are doing strategic acquisitions, and this is very good, but we don't have so many names on there.
So you focus mostly to bring companies outside, or what's your strategy actually?
Well, our strategy is just to invest globally. I mean, to bring Russian companies to the global scene. As we all know that internet is global, so why should you kind of lock in your company in one location? But Russia is a very good place to start business, especially in the early stage. We have a lot of support there. We have very good technical institutions. We have very good people, technical talents, right? So. And the tax regime right now is very optimistic. So Russia is still a very good place to start business. When you grow up, you can go outside of Russia. I mean, technically, it's not a problem.
Can you do comparison between companies which you find out in Russia, comparison to Ukrainian companies, to Polish company, or some Baltic companies? Is some difference, or they look the same?
Well, it's a good question, first of all, and I should say that in Europe we have a very long history of entrepreneurship, and this kind of
you mean in Eastern Europe?
In Central Europe mostly, but it's became like an issue in Eastern Europe as well. Russia is a little bit like a couple of years behind this, so people are just starting exploring this more and more. And in this sense, we need to educate people more and more. I mean, when they do fundraising, they just don't know how to speak with the investor. And this is coming like an experience. And I expect that this part is going to be significantly improved within several years. So Central European startups, Baltic region startups, are very well prepared in terms of fundraising than Russian startups. And this is kind of...
There's possibly in Russia a lot of free money, I will say, so possibly they don't pay too much attention to be prepared.
I would not say that, because I think Russian investors, and it's an example of Yandex also, are quite scary. They don't like to give money here and there. If you want to get some free money, you should go to Silicon Valley, and that's actually the question to you. because, like, you know, you should participate in this discussion as well, not just as a moderator. You have a lot of experience in that, I believe.
I will still go with questions, okay? So the point is, we did some study across the country, Russia, and we also went to, since our model is very simple, we try to find the companies in technological companies only, and we try to bring them to the global market. So, and of course, the software company landed in California. It is why we have big office there. But from point of view of our experience, we started to find that it is very difficult to find any good company in Moscow. Exactly. Better to find very good company in some region of Russia, even in Siberia somewhere. And in comparison to Ukrainian companies, for example, Ukrainian companies started to win game of the quality. So, and we came for conclusions that in Moscow is very spoiled by money, and smart people can find a way to make money much easily than people who are living in some remote places. So it is why creation going there. But from your comparison, you agree with this point that when you speak about region and speaking about other places of former Soviet Union, that Moscow now is not the best place to look for startups?
Hard to say is it's a good place for startups or bad place for startups. The question is really for us to find people. And that's why, for example, when we've launched this acceleration program, we paid stay in Moscow during the whole
how many
program.
in your
50-50, usually
50-50?
it's 50-50.
50 Moscow
50% from Moscow, 50 from outside of Moscow, and from really, really different towns, and brilliant people are coming. And depending on the season, if it's summer, there are a lot of students. If it's like spring season, there are people who just leave their companies, their own companies they have already somewhere in Saratov, in some, I don't know, in deep province. They want another level. They want to come. They want to see like new people and to try to break through. And it's like quite mature people already with a like good experience. And that's what is great when they have the possibility to come and do it. But I also wanted to say that I think that Ukrainian, like you can compare Russian market, Ukrainian market, Polish market, but they are all, they are totally different. I mean, they're united with just a Slavonic language. Because
some years of Soviet time too.
Because like in Ukraine, I would say it's like 2-3 years back comparing to Russia, but they are
from internal market. But for ready for internal market, or are you speaking about quality of startups?
In internal market. I mean,
internal market, agree, yes.
Internal startup market. They start to raise this movement of startup weekends and the accelerators and so on and so forth, and more everywhere, not just in Kyiv, but everywhere in the city. And by the way, government participates a lot in these activities. In Polish market, like they have another story from my perspective. They have so big influence of German big players who acquired most of the Polish market, that the startups target themselves directly to Western Europe and target themselves to Western investors. Nobody wants to stay on domestic market because there are no money, and you cross the border with Germany and there are money there. And German investors love Polish startups because they are well educated, they are enough technological, they are hungry and ready to work.
Okay.
So that's just a different situation.
You would like to add something?
Well, first of all, when you're in Russia and you're quite far from European markets, you are kind of more local business orientated. So we are seeing more and more startups around around Russia and try to localize their business there. So when you're in Europe, you are more kind of international friendly. So yeah, you are looking around, you are looking not on your country, but you're looking mostly on the region, and the region is huge. So this is a difference. I mean, we are trying to persuade Russian startup founders just to look outside of Russia, just to think about global perspective from the beginning, because they are trying to kind of saying that we are going to create new kind of copycat of European company, but in Russia. This is kind of the way they are doing business.
That's normal at the same time, because, as you said, we don't have enough strategic investors for exits.
Yeah.
So people create copycats of European and American startups to be acquired by some European or American player.
By global players, yeah.
By global players. That's what
But it
happened
never
with
happens.
BlaBlaCar. Like, we know that with some of our startups are talking to global players to be acquired and become the representative office in Russia. So that's a normal way, because Russia is huge, nobody knows how to get there, but it's #1 market in Europe. So
yeah, but a few years ago I suggested when I comparison flight time between Europe to US and flight time to Russia, I told it is big internet market. You guys can start in France, for example, and explore Russia with your growth. So will you suggest right now to go to do this or not?
Well, I agree. First of all, let's admit, Russia is #1 European country in terms of internet population, and it's huge. It's one of the biggest internet population in the world. So it's a huge market. It's still not mature. It's still very attractive for business development. Yes, I agree that you need a local partner just to be successful there, but it's more European than other regions of this part of the world. So if you are a French company, Polish company, or Turkish company, you can be very successful in Russia, which doesn't mean you can be successful in another way. I mean, if you started in Russia, it will be really very hard to be successful in Europe, right? So Russia is a very good place to raise funds, right? It's just to develop business there. We are very hungry for new technologies, new ideas,
and even new services.
New services, right? I mean, you should consider Russia from the beginning if you are looking for business development, if you are looking for money, if you are looking for good technical people, because it's a problem. It's another problem. And Silicon Valley is a good example. There is a very big deficit for good technical talents, right? So don't exclude Russia from your plans.
Okay, before we'll ask possibly some people have questions to you guys and to us. My question, okay, everybody looking for next Google. So what is the next Yandex in Russia? Can you name few names whom you expect will become big?
You want exact companies?
Yeah, name, if you know, who watch, who will become next Yandex in Russia?
I can hardly name exactly, but I think that the tendency, like as soon as we are going deeply into crisis, a lot of shared services will be popular in Russia soon. We can see, for example, the extreme growth of Airbnb model in Russia, because people who before bought the packages, tourists now are trying to save money and to buy tickets themselves and to rent apartments themselves. I think kind of BlaBlaCar model will grow. What else? All this rent services from hands to hands will grow as well. I think that it could be a good next big thing. The services based on minimalization of consumerism.
Okay, Alexander.
Well, I can't name you kind of a particular name. I mean, we certainly have.
You keep it as a secret, yes? Oh, okay.
we certainly have kind of already developed certain pillars, like travel, e-commerce, mobile search. We have local players there. They are pretty big, and it will be very difficult to kind of find new ozone.
if you're not
Yandex.
if you're not Chinese.
Yeah. So, but we don't have. We have a number of companies around these services, like kind of special web services, mobile services. We have a lot of big opportunities there, but it will not be kind of a huge Yandex-like companies. I don't expect anybody to come to this scene in Russia. Otherwise, I mean, Evernote is a very good example. They started in Russia, but then moved to the US, and now it's a US company, not Russian company, right? But this is a big story.
Yeah, we have big stories, but we have questions as well from audience, as I see. Of course, we told we will not speak about politics, but I see that question related to it. Two of them, at least. So, and do you feel the current situation with Ukraine has had an impact on startup ecosystem and investment opportunities in Russia?
Well,
who will answer?
Yeah,
as
I said, yes, of course, foreign investors are coming to Russia in two cases. They have a local co-investor partner, and it's a late stage. Currently, they kind of postpone their investment, so I expect the Series C, Series D kind of crunch in Russia, and I expect this company to move outside of Russia in terms of fundraising. I mean, maybe to move their headquarters from Russia. So the short answer, yes.
So, and second question was also about how the new regulation, and you, Kseniya, possibly know more about new regulation in Russia, shutting down private TV. So, how does the new regulation impact your business, Yandex business, for example?
You know, we have pretty experienced people in GR and in IR as well. And what our founder and CEO usually says is that we don't choose the time when to leave. And so we try to influence as much as we can these decisions. We try to deal with the government to prevent them from faults. It not always helps, but we do our best. But like whenever we get a new regulation or whatever, like we try to rebuild a bit the model and move on. So we don't have a choice.
Okay. So one question was about what suggesting of how Western venture capitalists or investors can to them before investing in Russia. What's the biggest opportunities of foreign investors that you see in Russia? What advice you will give them before investing in Russia? So I will answer this question. So it is biggest opportunity. It is a companies which is going global from my perspective, since you can share many names which became very attractive on the world market. Many companies well known. So people still invest in these companies. In our portfolio, for example, we got follow-up investment from top-tier investors in Silicon Valley. So people not scary if you see very good technology. So, and you don't need to be scary. If you are going inside Russia, it is also a big opportunity. So I will say that Russia, in comparison to China, give ability for free movement of money back and forth. So you make money in Russia, you easily can take money out. So I hope it will stay, since Russian government, even in this situation, trying to keep good faith, to bring good models and promise good models for investors. How it will go in next stage, I don't know, but still it is a good opportunity to go to Russian internet. So any more question from audience, since we have 40 seconds? I didn't get
last part.
Thank you. Sorry. So can you tell us what makes a good business accelerator and what is the advantage of a good business accelerator for an investment fund?
So, yeah, it's two sides should answer. For us, good accelerator is the accelerator where you see the real result and real impact of what's happened within the program with the startup. If the guys came with a not so good idea, but came out with something that can be developed as a business, that's a good result. It depends on different programs, but in our program we have coach side, we have moderators, we have speakers coming and invited to work with our companies and so on. So, but what's the result? I don't know. Better to ask the investors who are always invited.
I see that time is going, but we are getting some companies from accelerators. We more actually, if our fund, we're more looking for people, good entrepreneurs who started to mentor some startup. If they started to mentor, we become more serious to follow up with them. So it is our way. I'm sorry, I see that our time is gone. If you have additional questions, we will be here, so you can ask any of us about something else. Okay, thank you, Kseniya.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.